All right, guys. So have I mentioned that the Democrats have been taking L after L after L after L when it comes to decisions from our judicial system, right? Mainly, most of the L's have been at the hands of the Supreme Court, the federal courts. Okay, as they've stood up for the Second Amendment, right? They've stood up for the right to life, okay, for the unborn. They've stood up for religious freedom. All those things have driven the Democrats insane, crazy, to the point where they're rioting and protesting in the street, committing their own version of what is an insurrection, right? So that being said, the Democrats have just taken another L that's probably going to fly under the radar, but it's just as important as those prior L's that the Democrats have been taking. And the reason why is because this L right here, right, is going to keep Democrats from doing something that we all know they want to do, right, which is to allow illegals to vote. They want to allow illegals to vote in this country because that is a power grab for them. What people got to understand is that Democrats only do things that benefit them, right? Think about all the things that they are proposing and pushing on their base. Oh, you must pass election reform, right? You must pack the Supreme Court. You must make DC and Puerto Rico a state. You must do things that allow the Democrats to accumulate more power. None of those things have anything to do with actually helping people, right? Or, improving anybody's lives or fixing the problems in this country. No, they're simply uninterested in doing any of those things. What they want to do is to grab power and to stay in power, and that's it, right? That's the only thing they're focused on right now, okay? So with that being said, we got to talk about how a judge struck down a New York City law that let non-citizens vote in the city elections. Again, this was a slap in the face to anybody with American citizenship, okay? Whether you were born here, okay, and had American citizenship, or whether or not you came here and you earned your American citizenship, New York said, we don't care about that. We're going to let non-citizens vote in our elections. And in my opinion, this was the Democrats' first attempt to try to allow illegals to vote, because we know that's what they want to do, right? They want that nationwide. So they try it in a super liberal city like New York, in a liberal state like New York, where they think they can get away with it, to see, okay, what can we do with this? How far can we go with this, right? And it's a good thing that it's getting struck down now, because if it didn't get struck down, best believe the Democrats would try to expand this into other blue states and then eventually try to make it nationwide. So with that being said, this is a massive loss for the Democrats that's going to be swept under the rug. Let's read here. New York City can't let non-citizens vote for mayor and other city officials. A judge ruled Monday, siding with Republicans who challenged the measure as unconstitutional. In January, New York became the first major U.S. city to grant widespread municipal voting rights to non-citizens, though none had yet cast ballots yet. The law didn't affect presidential, congressional, or state elections. Again, this was them putting their foot in the water, right? Putting their toe in the water, seeing what they can get away with, and then expanding it if they were actually allowed to get away with it. That is what the plan was here, okay? The law supporters said it gave an electoral voice to many people who have made a home in the city and pay taxes to it, but face tough paths to citizenship. New York GOP Chair Nick Langworthy and several Republican elected officials said the law violated provisions in the state constitution and state election law that specifically confer voting rights on citizens. Staten Island Judge Ralph Perzio agreed with the GOP. Quote, though voting is a right that so many citizens take for granted, the city of New York cannot obviate the restrictions imposed by the Constitution, Perzino wrote. His ruling blocks the city from registering potentially more than 800,000 new voters without U.S. citizenship. Again, this is not about really, taking more power in New York City, because the Democrats already run New York City. What it really was about is seeing if they could get away with it in the most liberal parts of the country and then expanding it from there, right? That's what it really was about. I mean, 800,000 new voters, that's kind of a lot. But at the same time, New York City is a pretty big city, okay? But with that being said, again, it's not like it would have really shifted the dynamic, okay? Because, again, Democrats already really run New York City. Langworthy hailed the ruling as, quote, victory for citizen rights, election integrity, and the rule of law. He accused New York Democrats of abusing their leadership of the city and state governments to, quote, illegally rig the system while trampling on citizens' rights. The city said it was considering next steps. This is a disappointing court ruling for people who value bringing in thousands more New Yorkers into the democratic process, the city law department said in a statement. No, this is actually not disappointing, right? This is an exciting ruling for people who respect citizenship, who respect American citizens in this country. This is disrespectful. This is how much Democrats don't care about actual American people, right? They will let non-citizens vote simply to keep power, right? And ultimately what they're doing is that you're diluting the value of the American citizenship. Why even try to be an American citizen at all if you have all the benefits of being an American citizen without actually being one? It doesn't make sense. The agency argued that the state constitution leaves room for the city to make rules about its own elections and that the law would help ensure that local officials are representative of the population. Legally documented voting age non-citizens comprise nearly 1 in 9 of New York City's 7 million voting age inhabitants. More than a dozen communities across the United States allow non-citizens to cast ballots in local elections, including 11 towns in Maryland and 2 in Vermont. In San Francisco, non-citizens can vote in school board races. New York City allowed the same for 3 decades until its school board was disbanded in 2002. Well, I think it's a little bit different to allow non-citizens to vote in school board elections versus voting in city elections. And all these other towns that may be allowing non-citizens to vote in their local elections, I also think that that's wrong, right? I also think that that's wrong. They shouldn't be allowing that. This is ridiculous. Meanwhile, Alabama, Colorado, and Florida have in recent years adopted rules that would preempt any attempts to pass laws like the one in New York City. Arizona and North Dakota already had prohibitions on the books. In New York City, a proposal to let non-citizens vote in city elections was floated for years before passing the Democrat-led city council in December. One council member, Francisco Moya, choked up as he envisioned his mother, an immigrant from Ecuador, being able to vote for him. The law gave municipal voting rights to non-citizens who have been lawful permanent residents of the city for at least 30 days, as well as to those authorized to work in the U.S., including Dreamers, a term for young immigrants living in the country illegally who were brought here as children and have temporary protection from deportation. The term is based on the DREAM Act, a never-passed congressional proposal that involved them. Then Mayor Bill de Blasio had reservations about the city law, including questions about its legality, and took no action on it. Successor Eric Adams then let the measure become law without his signature. Both Adams and de Blasio are Democrats. Yeah, so it's kind of a shame that Eric Adams ran as a moderate. This guy ran as a moderate, okay, and then got into office and became the most progressive mayor probably in this country, okay? I mean, you're letting non-citizens vote. You're totally fine with that. You didn't stop it. Again, it tells you exactly how far left this guy is. And I literally did a story, guys, about how, you have some of these people that are running in these elections and, they don't really believe the things that they say, right? This guy, again, ran as a moderate and then got into office and implemented all types of, COVID restrictions, letting non-citizens vote. He wasn't as tough on crime as he claimed he was. He's all about, woke virtue signaling. Again, vet your candidates, man. New York City did a terrible job at vetting Eric Adams. That guy was a far left progressive, okay? So, again, I'm happy that this law got shot down. It's a victory for those people who actually have citizenship in the United States and not having the value of our citizenship diluted because the Democrat Party wants to gain more power. So, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.